All right. Next question up here. How can the Colts replicate Josh Allen's development in accuracy? With AR.
Got this, Mike.
Are his flaws fixable, or are the Colts eternally cursed at QB for cutting Peyton Manning? They're fixable. There's a worry, though, is one, I haven't seen much progress from last year to this year. Let's get to Josh Allen. I actually went deep on this question last night. I was telling you guys before. I saw this question, and I was like, I've watched some Tom House podcasts about throwing mechanics, and I've done like some research on this over the course of the offseason, but I never actually put it into play because I just listen to podcasts offhandedly a lot, and then I don't end up thinking about them ever again. But I did hear, because you gave me this opportunity, two biggest things with Anthony Richardson that I see, and I'll relate it to how Josh Allen developed. Josh Allen was very much like a baseball thrower coming out. And when you're a baseball thrower, you have this big stride, and usually you tend to stride at your target. Those two things, when you do have a big stride, and I see that with Anthony Richardson, he gets to the back of his drops and he is tight with his feet. You see Josh Allen at the back of his drops, his feet land either at shoulder width or outside of shoulder width. When you have that base, and Tom House says this, he's the pitching and throwing godfather in terms of mechanics, in terms of biomechanics and how actually the throwing motion should work. He says that a wide neutral base and a centered ball position is something that every quarterback should have at the top of their drop. Not necessarily wide neutral base, but that every quarterback should practice consistently just when they are, throwing on their own, throwing practice, because that develops when you are neutral and have even weight and you can throw from that. That develops the muscle memory to then be more accurate when you don't have that neutral base. It's something that you can go back to. And when I see Anthony Richardson, he gets real tight with his feet at the back end of his drop, and then he has to stride out.
Like a pitcher.
So you get a stride
in the
from
stretch.
him.
Like imagine a pitcher coming out of the stretch.
Yeah. So you get like this little stride from him. And when you're striding, when you go, and especially for taller guys, this is big. When you go from that tight feet to a wide feet, you actually will drop. Your head will go down. And when you're doing that, because and for he says every 1 inch of head movement, it's 2 inches of release angle movement. And that's why you see these sky balls from a guy like Anthony Richardson, because of that stride.
He's dropping and launching.
Correct. And his head will go down and you'll launch up. And so you see a lot of that from him. From like a pure arm perspective, it's awesome. And he trusts it a lot. A lot of those bigger guys really will throw a lot with just arm.
Correct.
And not use their hips. And that's the other biggest thing I saw with him. So the base at the top can be more consistent. The problem is, again, I haven't seen any change from last year to this year in that base, in getting more consistent with it, when he literally had all offseason to just work on his footwork. He couldn't even throw. So not working on that, not improving on that is a little worrisome for me. But then he also, when he throws, if you watch guys like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, they'll go from that wide base. And when they're stepping, so Richardson steps towards the target, opens up towards target. When you're stepping to throw, you watch those guys, they step out left. It's out left because when you're throwing, you want to clear your hips as fast as possible. You want them pointing to the target before your shoulders get to point at the target. Because when you throw accurately, everything, your shoulders, arm will be aligned at where you're throwing. And so if your shoulders aren't to your target just yet, you have to make up for all that in a split second. But if your hips are wide open, and if you watch Aaron Rodgers throw, he is the GOAT at this, his hips open up immediately. And that's why he generates so much force as a thrower, is because he has flipped the hips while his arm is way back here. He's already pointed directly at his target with his hips, and then just everything catches up right at the last second. With Anthony Richardson, strides at the target, and so he won't clear his hips until the last second. So it really is using a lot of his arm, and he has a cannon for an arm. But that's how you see on that one bomb, you go back to week 1, bomb to Alec Pierce. What did he do on that throw? He was completely open. That was an accurate throw because his left foot was all the way back. Yeah. And that was, his best throw of the season. So if I was him, I would watch Aaron Rodgers. I would watch Justin Herbert. I would watch Josh Allen and work on that front leg stride and just clearing wide open. You have such a cannon for an arm. Just put yourself in a better body mechanics position. So those two things, when I watch him, that's where he gets in trouble. He will get that stride and he'll get it too close to the target and he won't be able to clear his hips in time. And it's just all arm then. And he's too reliant on it. And again, Josh Allen looked like that year 1, looked like that a little bit less year 2. By year 3, he was that base at the top of his drop, hips wide open to clear first. And then it also helps you in your off-platform accuracy, as I said with Tom House. When you get that consistency, you're better off-platform as well. So that's what I recommend.
That was a great breakdown.
Yeah, it was.
Clap it up for Mike a little bit.
Thank you.
Go, Mike.
But like I said, I thought it was very
Pushing the
interesting.
pigskin.
And it's
You know
it's
what I'm
something
saying?
that, so if you are,
that Dak real Mike.
yes, that is how
That's Tom House.
you want. Yes. Yeah. You got to clear the hips. That's him clearing his hips and rotating his shoulders back, getting that separation that helps you get power, but
That's
then it
his
also
sensei.
helps you throw
Tom
accurately.
House is a sensei.
So if I was, talking to Anthony Richardson, I'd say go work with Tom House.
Yeah.
He needs like that. And
Is the universe ready for the dominance that would be Anthony Richardson that could throw strikes?
because I do think he's because the arm is amazing. Like the arm from
It's
just that
ridiculous.
perspective is so darn good. If he just got the rest to be consistent, he wouldn't be, I'm not saying he's going to be Josh Allen from an accuracy perspective, but he would be serviceable. True. Like he's not too far off. So there is hope. That's a long way of saying there definitely is hope with him.